All right, welcome back to another episode of Knicks Morning Coffee Recap. I'm Mr. King. Today we're going to try to break down the Knicks Pistons series. That's right, the playoffs is here. The speculation times are here. They're going to ramp up. We got one more day to go, so let's kick it. All right, but before we really jump into that, all right, like, comment, subscribe. But there's three things I want to tackle fast before we get into the series. And then one is the talk of Tibbs being on the hot seat, which I think is absurd that a coach that can get us in the playoffs 4 years in a row, somewhere we haven't been in almost 10 years or plus, and then even to get us 50 wins and get us the type of team that the city can be proud of. There's things he needs to tweak, but I don't think his job security should be on the line. And then sometimes we just reach too far. And if you just feel like he's got to get out of the first or second round to keep his job, then you know what, fire him right now, because that's not fair. The man is doing an awesome job for us, getting to Knicks back to prominence where other teams fear us and other teams are excited about when we come into their home teams and their home stadiums, that their fans are also showing up and showing out to either root for or against us. So we haven't had that in a long time. So to put that all on the coach, to me, I don't like it. Although Tibb has faults, the pluses way outweigh the minuses. Okay, the other thing is the talk about Kevin Durant coming to the Knicks. Like, that ship has sailed. We should not gut our team for Kevin Durant. These guys had opportunities to come here and be a savior. You know, now that we're good, we kind of don't need you. Yes, he's better than everybody on our roster. Yes, he would make us a better team. But for how long? Is it a year? Is it 2 years before he demanded trade? Or what else would it be? Or a major injury? He's getting up there in age, and we need to protect the young guys that we have. They're close to their 30s. They're hitting their prime, and we can build on that. Now, if a guy like Kevin Durant just popped up on our team, that's excellent. But to gut our superstars, to bring in somebody for a 1-2 year rental, that's not, I don't know, that's not conceivable to me. And then the other thing is the talk that we gave up too much for Mikal Bridges. And I don't think that's fair to Mikal. He's been stellar this year on both sides of the ball. There's been some inconsistencies, but sometimes too, when you got to guard the best player, either you or OG, every single night and still have to put up the numbers, it could be difficult. But I think what people don't really understand about the Mikal trade, because when you give up what we gave up for him, the 5 picks, the players here and there, that's usually reserved for your top 1 or 2 players on your team. Now, we have Cat and we have Brunson. So we gave up that, which would normally go to a superstar of your team. But he was going to be our 3rd or 4th wheel the minute that we got him. So I don't think there's a reason why we should panic over his production through the course of a year, because we already have 2 superstars, or all-stars and a superstar. We have that already. So what more could we expect of Mikal, also by asking him to be that stellar defensive player? And this playoffs is going to tell us a lot, because we've seen how when guys go out, how people can step up. We've also seen 4 guys get 20 in a single game. So it's going to be on how the matchups, it's going to be on what we need in certain situations, and then it's also going to be on foul trouble. But right now, I think Mikal is doing an excellent job for us. I think people should get off that, get off that bandwagon. He also showed how he hit a big clutch shot at the end of a game, when Brunson is out. So he's doing what he was paid to do to come here. And we didn't give up too much, because right now we are in win mode. And there was no young guy right now or young guy coming that was going to help us this season after the season we had last year. So, sometimes people just pump your brakes. Sometimes we just go too far. But it's all in love with the Knicks, so that's cool too. All right, now getting back to the Pistons in the Knicks series, this is going to be a brutal series to me. I didn't really want to get into a prediction, because a 3 or 6 seed is always can go up in the air. Normally the home team has the advantage and gets the edge, but I think in this particular case too, I would like to see us in 5, but I got a feeling it's going 6. Anything beyond 6, that's shocking, because Detroit is not going to lay down. Detroit can match us player for player in terms of people who they can put on the court. Now, star for star, they may not can match us, because they have Cunningham and we have Jalen Brunson and we have Karl-Anthony Towns. But as far as individual players, they can put 9, 10 players on the court that can be productive. Because it's not enough being said about Dennis Schroeder, to me, who's an excellent player, playing off of Cade Cunningham, to have that type of guard that's not your star. So, we have a lot to contend with. And then when you're looking at what they can bring off the bench in Asir Thompson, that's a young stud who I'm not going to overlook, and I'm pretty sure our guys aren't either. So they have their things that they can do, to keep pressure on us as the home team. And then you're talking about Tobias Harris. He can come in, he can fill some roles and get hot. Again, these are not superstars. These are guys that can put pressure on us that we got to play the whole 48 minutes. And then Cade Cunningham, you can't say enough about him. Somebody was talking about him for most improved play. No, none of that. It took him a while to hit his stride and get the right team around him, but he came in as a superstar. He may not have put those numbers up early in his career, but that boy's a stud, and you can't take nothing away from him. And that's going to be a real trigger for us. And even Tibbs talked about not being able to guard him with one steady look. And we have the guys to guard him. Now, okay, we have Hart, we have Bridges, and we have OG. But to me, it's not the guy that's guarding him. It's the guy that switches on him in the pick and roll is going to determine how we slowed him down, because they're going to pick and roll us to death. And we have to get an answer for that. And some solutions we can talk about a little bit later. Now, then, of course, there are two bigs, and Jalen Duren and then Isaiah Stewart. Now, Isaiah Stewart is the one who concerns me, because one thing I say, somebody asked me the other day, who you think is going to be the Knicks X factor? And I don't think it's going to be one of our players that's going to be the X factor. I think the X factor is going to be, don't let Isaiah Stewart bait you into getting thrown out of the game. He's going to play physical. He's going to do something stupid. He's going to do something to get our guys agitated, be it the big or the small on the switch. And we could ill afford to lose one of our guys as much as they could lose him, and they still could be productive. We can't afford to lose particularly our bigs, to get into a wrestling match with this guy, because he's going to do something and he's going to get under people's skin. Now, this is not the Detroit Pistons of the late 80s, early 90s, but this is a Detroit physical team that we're going to have to contend with. Now, on our side of the ball, and that's the beauty of the whole thing, we're coming in with two all-stars, two legitimate all-stars who can make a difference in this series. And then we also throwing in OG and Mikal Bridges, who at any given time can go off for 30. And then we got Josh Hart, who is a walking triple-double machine that could go off at any time. And then it's our bench. Now, that's going to be also key for us, is we know Tibbs typically is going to shorten that rotation. And we pretty much been running almost 10 guys down the stretch of the season. Now, also noted, some people say we limped into the playoffs, so that's a bad sign, but not necessarily true, because we didn't have our best going into the playoffs, but we did have individual guys that pretty much had career years. And when you're talking about Karl Anthony Towns, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, they had years they've never had before. So that's going to help us going into the playoffs. But historically, in the past couple of years, we ran into the playoffs looking really good just to get bounced in the second round. So now they have more to fight for. You're not just fighting for history. You're fighting for things that you haven't done before. And we haven't gotten out of the second round. And we haven't went in there, popping our collar like we did the past couple of years. We fought to get in here. We fought to keep that third seed. And now we have to protect it. But our bench is going to shrink. And I'm scared that one of the odd men out is going to be Landry Shamet. Because during his press conference, when asked about Shamet's hot shooting down the stretch of the season and how you plan to use him, all Tid said was he was playing, pretty well, pretty good. He didn't really give an overwhelming endorsement. I don't want to see him lose minutes. I know Tibbs is not playing 9, 10 guys in the playoffs. He may have to do it once or twice because of foul trouble. But I'm worried that hot shooting we're not going to have. Also, the other person that probably minutes will be shrink will probably be Precious Achiuwa, because our big man Mitch is back, and Tibbs he's not gonna do that, because OG starts at power forward, and there's going to be too many minutes to go around, and we know who's going to get the bulk of those: Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson. And then in our backcourt, We know that Deuce will probably still get his time off the bench because he is hot shooting and he plays pressure defense from end to end. Then Payne will probably get the next bulk of those minutes off the bench, which probably won't be much because Tibbs is going to ride, he's going to ride Mikal Bridges. He's going to ride Jalen Brunson. So that backcourt minutes is going to be thin. But, we have to just realize this. This is what Tibbs do. Hopefully guys like Shamet and them can find their way on the court, even in situations. But when they find their way on there in situations, let's use them for what they are. Let's bring Shamet in as that three-point threat. We don't need all that other stuff. We don't need the ball handling. We don't need the playmaking. No, we need you to come in when you get in and knock down threes, and we need the guys on the team to recognize he's in there for that. And let's run those plays to get him those threes just to keep the defense honest and take advantage of this hot hand he got going down the stretch. Now, when it comes to Payne was a thorn in our side when we played Philly last year. And yeah, Maxey did his thing, and Maxey was getting his 30-plus points a game. But it was Payne that had us scratching our head. So we have to remember that, meaning coach, and then use Payne the same way. Let him get out there and let him claw and scratch and get under people's skin, because he's known to knock down that big shot when we need it also. So we don't have to worry about losing production when he's out on the floor. And he will defend, as will Shamet. So every guard that we put in can pretty much defend the perimeter, except Brunson. But again, that's Brunson, so we expect that. But we had the things behind him to make up for that. Now, getting back to keys of the game, and we're talking about Cade Cunningham and how he's just been unstoppable. But one of the ways that he has been unstoppable is that off the pick and roll, Cat has been backpedaling, which leaves too much room for him to create, pull up, do other things, finding the open man. At least when Mitch is in the game, Mitch knows how to challenge the pick and roll. And then it's up to the back guy to swing and help the helper when Mitch comes up to help. But I think this is going to be a good problem to have because Mitch is healthy and he's getting more and more active around the basket. I also think that we should try to get a Chua in there also and keep two big bodies out there at all times. Now, OG does rebound, and I know Tibbs probably feels that Hart makes up for a lot of rebounds, but we need them bigs protecting the rim. But somebody's going to be the odd man out. But there's also talk that he's going to play our two bigs together, which he has to, because they asked him about the big lineup in his press conference. And he said for the short period of time they've been out there, they played well together. Well, they didn't really play well together. I think Mitch is just staying out of Cat's way. But I think this week that they had a practice, I'm pretty sure they put their heads together and figuring some things out, because I was highly impressed with Mitchell Robinson's press conference. The maturity level that he answered the questions from the media shows that he has a lot of growth. He's been paying attention to what's been going on when he wasn't there, and that he respects Cat and the things that Cat brings to the team and where he fit in to help. And that just shows a big sign for me that he's not the silly goofball that came in as a rookie and second-year player. He's serious about his craft, and I love that about him. And whenever he gives us is a plus, because we didn't have it during the regular season. But I think Tibbs should, really utilize them in a strategy, not just put them out there together to have 2 7-footers, put them out there with a purpose and a plan, and let them feed off each other that way. Because Cat can drive to the basket, Cat can pass the ball, and then we know what Mitch can do when he get it. So, we have a way of attacking the Detroit Pistons. Tibbs also said he will use it in situations according to what they do. I don't necessarily agree with that part of that, because let's make them adjust to us. We the home team, we the high seed. We the team that's supposed to move on. Adjust to us. Yeah, we'll make adjustments during the game, but y'all adjust to us, because when they bringing in guys like Malik, Beasley and Jaden Ivey and people like that who can put the ball up, not to forget our old player, Hardaway Jr., they got guys that can fill it up. So we have to make them adjust to us also. And we're not a slouch team. We're a team to be reckoned with. And there's no need to look ahead to Boston. We're going to have our hands full with this series right here. I'm looking forward to it. I think we're going to find an answer to slow down Cade Cunningham. I don't think we're going to stop him, and we ain't supposed to. The guy's a stud. But I think that because we have so much around the ball for us on the defensive side, that we can contain him and at least keep some of the other guys in check. And if it comes down to a last shot on defense, well, we have a lot of ways that we can go. That even if they switch, if we have Mitch as the big man and OG guarding him, then now you got to switch on to Mitch, Hart, or Mikal Bridges. So it's going to always be somebody on you that can put pressure on the ball. All right, so the game is tomorrow. I'm excited. I know everybody else is. We've been all season long waiting to get to this point. 51-win season. Nobody can take that away from us. Probably if Mitch was healthy earlier, it probably would have been a 60 season. I don't think anybody would probably argue with that part. But the Knicks are looking good to me. We have a lot. We have a lot of ways to go. We have a lot of guys that can step up in them big moments. You know, OG is going to be there. I think Payne is going to come in and give us something that we're not expecting, because I don't think they're not going to, you know, jockey for him. They're not going to plan for him, but he's been through the moments. He's been on championship teams in championship games, so he knows what to expect, and we're going to need all of that to move on to the next level and then still be healthy enough to contend in the next level. All right, so we're gonna follow this series. Let us know what you think about your prediction. Is it a sweep? Is it 7? Or is it somewhere in between? I'd like to know that part, from you guys. But until next time, peace. Let's go Knicks.